So it was a pony car, a GT car, a rally car, and a sport compact car? What's up guys, Gary here. I've been busy, but I still see your requests, especially for this video, and I'm responding. It's interesting since my cousin had a third generation and it was like the road trip car back in the day. So just to keep things short, this video will be on the history of the Toyota Celica. The first generation Celica was developed in 1967 and appeared in the USA in 1972. The name was derived from the Latin word celio, which means from the heavens or celestial. It received inspiration from the Toyota 2000 GT, but was targeted to be much more affordable. You can even say that the prototype was the EX1, which did have some 2000 GT cues. It also had influence from its American competition, especially the Ford Mustang. Some even say that this was the Japanese pony car. There were several body styles and powertrains offered throughout the years, and also the most powerful configuration was the dual overhead cam 2TG with 115 horsepower, which was never offered in the US. The Celica was revised in 1975 to meet new safety and emission standards. The body revisions may not seem noticeable from the outside, but there was an increase to the wheelbase and width to improve stability and performance. The popularity caused it to reach 1 million sales by the end of its first generation in 1977. The other great part is that anything 1975 or older is smog exempt in California, so if you have a 1970 to 1975, then you're good, which is probably why you might see some of these with crazy engine swaps. This generation was also the first to be introduced to rally in 1972. For the Star Wars fans watching this video, there was a special Star Wars themed Celica built in 1977 due to the craze at the time, which was given to one lucky winner. The second generation arrived in 1978 in a coupe and liftback body style, which also ended the pony car era. The Celica now became more of a GT type car, which also became larger. The 1978 to 1979 is referred to as the Series A with chrome bumpers and round headlights, and the 1979 to 1981 is referred to as the Series B with black rubber bumpers and square headlights. The powertrains were the same for both series throughout the years except in 1981, where the 2.2 liter was upgraded to 2.4 liters. This was the generation that the Celica Supra was introduced within the model with an inline 6. Celicas have always been 4 cylinders until this trim. Check out my Supra history video if you haven't seen it yet. I'll link to it above and in the description section below. This generation also introduced a 4-door version in 1980 called the Celica Camry, which split into its own model after this generation. It won't be the only one to do this, as we all know. The third generation was introduced in 1981 and was offered in a notchback, liftback, and later convertible body style. The 2.4 liter engine was used for this generation in the US, with electronic fuel injection coming in 1982. A GTS was introduced to the US as a sportier trim which used items pulled from the Celica Supra. A facelift in 1984 included those awesome flip-up headlights that everyone was doing at the time. This generation was also the beginning of the Celica's rally expedition, which started in 1982. Toyota manufactured 200 Celica GTTs that used a 1.8 liter turbocharged motor for Group B rally homologation. These were later modified by Toyota Team Europe, which was Toyota's OEM rally team, which also included a different engine that made 300 horsepower, and they were successful with various rally events. This is also where we see the separation of the Supra. It's funny because the Supra and the Camry were based off of the Celica, and they are both still or will be in production, while the Celica remains discontinued. The fourth generation was the most drastic change to the Celica. It now became front-wheel drive, separating itself from the rear-wheel drive Supra and offered in coupe and liftback form. There were also 2 new dual overhead cam motors, the 3S FE for lower trims and the 3S GE for higher trims. Which brings us to this generation being the first appearance from the ultimate Celica called the GT4 in 1986 for Japan and elsewhere, and in 1988 for the US, which it was renamed the All-Track. This version used a turbocharged 2-liter motor which was air-to-water cooled and also featured full-time all-wheel drive with a manual locking center differential, which was changed to a viscous unit in 1988. Toyota collaborated with Yamaha, whom provided the head for the 3SGE, but in this case, it was also turbocharged. The GT4 wasn't as successful in rally in the beginning with Toyota Team Europe, but with persistence they eventually got a WRC win in 1989's Rally Australia. This generation received 13 WRC wins and a driver's title for Carlos Sainz. The 5th generation was a refinement from the previous. The body style was more sleek and it was offered with several engine offerings. A facelift appeared in 1992, which also included a bunch of other refinements. The GT4 was based off of the wide-body Celica GTS, which allowed larger tires and provided stability. The 3S GTE also got a power bump and a new top-mounted air-to-air intercooler, which was cooled with forced air through the hood. There was a special version of 5000 produced that we didn't get here in the US in 1991 called the GT4 RC or Carlos Sainz edition or GT4 Group A, depending on the market that it was sold under. That version received an air-to-water intercooler, rear torsion limited slip differential, upgraded second and third gear synchros, short shifter, and a vented hood compared to the ram hood of the GT4. FIA Group A homologation saw 5,000 units produced, which had a more aggressive exterior and rally features. This would be the most successful generation in rally for the Celica, with the achievements listed. The 6th generation Celica still used a similar format as the previous generation, but the body style looked like a mix between a Supra and SC300 in the front and an MR2 in the rear. A notchback, fastback, and convertible body style were offered. Toyota did give us a facelift in 1996 though, while the GT4 was launched in 1994 for other markets, which got a power bump to around 250 horsepower and reverted back to a water-to-air intercooler. The US never received it for this generation onwards. 2,500 homologation GT4 cars were built for Group A, which had provisions for anti-lag, water or meth injection, intercooler water spray, and were not hooked up. So it was up to the owner to follow up if they wanted those items working. Despite rally team complaints of the Celica being oversized with poor visibility, Toyota won the WRC in 1993 and 1994 and became the first Japanese car manufacturer to win a rally championship. Yes, this was even before Subaru's Impreza WRX and Mitsubishi's Lancer Evolution. Toyota even has more WRC wins than Subaru and Mitsubishi, but never seems to get mentioned, and that may be due to them eventually getting caught for cheating in 1995, which ended the season, and they were also banned the following year in 1996. Without getting into the details, the reason for the ban was the use of a restrictor that could be adjusted, allowing additional airflow to enter on the sides of the turbo inlet, gaining up to 50 horsepower. This is one of the most scarring moments in Toyota's history. They eventually re-entered with the Corolla in 1997, which was lighter and had better visibility, but it was later found not to be as competitive, so Toyota pulled out of WRC in 1998. The 7th generation Celica went a whole new direction, even though it was still using a front-wheel drive layout. It was based off of the 1999 XYR concept car. The failure of the last generation Celica would promote Toyota to build this generation to target younger buyers, and cost-cutting measures were made to make it affordable. This meant only one body style, but two trims. The two trims offered were the GT and GTS. They both used a 1.8 liter engine, but the GTS used valve lift technology, which switches to a higher cam lobe for high RPM action, and it also implemented variable timing control to adjust timing for efficiency depending on the situation. The target for the GTS was the Acura Integra Type R, but the reality was more like the Acura GSR, as no matter how much they tried, it just couldn't exceed expectations. The Celica eventually received a facelift in 2003, but that wasn't enough because of the amount of competition at this time, and it would eventually be discontinued due to poor marketing and low sales numbers in 2005 for the US market. In the end, the Celica's evolution became its downfall. Toyota's execution throughout the years had caused this car to become discontinued. It initially competed with the Mustang, but as we've seen, the Celica is nowhere close in performance to the Mustang of its last generation. Well, we will have to wait and see if there is a revival of the Celica, because the Supra is returning, and there were discussions of there being 3 brothers from Toyota, so maybe the Celica is one of them. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and hit that like and subscribe button to support my channel so I can bring more videos out to you guys, and also let me know which one you'd like to see. I'll see you in the next one.